Last year, my wife did this in 11 hours 25. Beating that is all I care about.
The atmosphere is crazy. Come on, Jim, you got this.
This is the best. I love it.
Fuck me, of all the places to find you.
Young guy, new guy, Vincent Bouillard coming down the hill.
Hayden Hawks, winner of CCC. He's just won the biggest race in ultra running history.
What a great finish line this always is.
It's the beauty and serenity of the mountains and valleys around Mont Blanc which keeps us coming back each year. That juxtaposed with the immensely exhilarating atmosphere generated in Chamonix during UTMB week. It's the highlight of the ultra running year for many, and it all starts on Monday morning at Place de l'Église.
Start line of PTL. This is the first race to go off of the UTMB week.
It's packed. There are loads of press standing here. The crowds are huge just for the start of PTL. This is a massive race starting on Monday morning and finishing on Friday about the same time as the leaders for the UTMB full race come in. Are you excited for the start of UTMB week?
Absolutely excited and so happy. After 1 year to prepare it each year, it's just a pleasure.
Have a good week.
Yes, thanks.
See you on the trails.
Yeah.
That was Catherine Paletti, one of the founders of UTMB, who is a familiar sight at the start of almost every race during UTMB week. The teams of runners in PTL will spend up to 151 hours traversing 300 kilometres round the Mont Blanc Massif, climbing over 25,000 metres. It's the longest and toughest of all the week's events, and we wouldn't see many of those runners again until Friday or Saturday. It's almost mandatory to have a wander round the stalls at the Ultra Trail Village, especially if you need to pick up any last-minute kit before your race, and it's all part of the UTMB experience.
So we have the first winner of the week, the MCC, which is the marathon distance, coming in to finish right now. He's won his Trient 100K by UTMB. He's won Col du Balme. He's won once by UTMB the 50K. So we're just at the finish line waiting for the first lady in the MCC.
With both male and female winners of the MCC coming from France, it would be just the start of an incredible week for French trail running. Having completed the OCC 54-kilometre race last year, this year my wife Victoria had entered the newest UTMB event, ETC. It's a 15-kilometre run designed as a rather more gentle introduction to trail and mountain running, perhaps for the less experienced runner. Although with 1,200 metres of elevation gain, gentle is a relative term.
Ready? Yeah, let's hope this one fits this year. I've gone for a size bigger. So we're at the start line of TDS. We are waiting at the elite start area for Mark Darbyshire, who is the #1 seed for TDS today from Great Britain. I'm hoping he's going to arrive here any second now and I can have a word with him before they start the race.
TDS starts on the Monday night, and many argue it's a tougher race than the main UTMB event.
This is Mark Darbyshire, is at the start line of TDS. Now Mark has been unwell, but he is still technically the #1 seed for this race. How are you feeling?
Yeah, no pressure there, no.
No pressure?
Yeah. All I think, yeah, looking forward to it. It's a bit different here to the UK, the big mountains out here, isn't it?
Have you managed to get any vert in at all?
Yeah, I've been alright. I've done a bit, I've been alright.
Do you have a plan? Given that you've been unwell, do you have a plan?
Not really, no. I never have a plan, no. Just go out fairly easy and hopefully build as the race goes on. I think it'll be a very fast start. So,
yeah, it will.
Not get too excited. That's the plan, mate.
Marjorie, best of luck.
Thank you, Stephen.
See you at the finish.
Atmosphere's really building here. 5 minutes to go. TDS 2024. Let's hope for Mark Darbyshire for the UK.
I spent 3 years trying to complete TDS and finally got it done in 2022. It's advertised at around 145 kilometres, but I think I had nearer to 160 by the time I crossed the line. The late start time can be very tough, as it's difficult to rest the day before, so you're already tired before you've started.
And there they go, off on their journey on a Monday night. Some of those guys won't be finishing until Wednesday.
One of the things we enjoy doing most as a family in Chamonix is hiking. This year we decided to pay our first ever visit to the White Lake. We caught the train from Chamonix to Argentiere and started walking from there. It's a decent hike of around 7 kilometres with 1200 metres of elevation to get to the lake, and it can be very crowded with tourists, especially in the summer months. Another amazing thing to do in Chamonix is paragliding. For years we've stared up into the sky at the paragliders jumping off the side of the mountain and gently floating back down to land in a field behind the town. You'd never get me up there in a million years, but my daughter Elsa has always wanted to try it. So this year, with absolutely no fear, she ran off a big hill and soared thousands of feet into the air. They even did tricks and Elsa ended up upside down 2,000 feet above the ground.
Tuesday came around and I caught the bus to Italy for my race. Welcome to ETC. Welcome to Courtney.
Let's go. Come on, let's do it.
We've got this. Despite being effectively a gentle introduction to UTMB races, we were still afforded the full UTMB razzmatazz at the start line. And we set off through Courtney on a similar route to both the CCC and TDS races. The race was set off in waves, however there were still bottlenecks early on the trails and I was never on my own at any point. The only climb of the race was at times very steep with some technical sections. It was a really interesting mix.
You can see it's quite a steep climb and the runners are just meandering down mountain.
Once we got beyond the tree line, the views were stunning.
This is what we're here for. Just look at that.
ETC, like TDS, isn't part of the official World Series, and so you don't need any running stones to enter. However, you do receive 1 stone for finishing, which you can then use towards perhaps stepping up to OCC next time.
This is the descent.
ETC made me feel part of the UTMB experience, and I thoroughly recommend it as a really fun event or a test race to see if you like mountain running.
Whilst Victoria was in Italy, I was back in France, taking part in the Run4Adventure Shakeout Run, which we do every year with Lloyd and Liga.
I'm Chris.
What are you doing tomorrow?
Tomorrow I'm doing TDS. No, I'm not. Can we start that video again? Tomorrow.
Right, I'll cut that out. We'll do it in the edit. It's all fine. No need to worry.
Okay. Tomorrow I'm doing the OCC.
How are you feeling about it?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling excited to be doing it. It will only be my second proper mountain race. Yeah, I mean, I've never been to Chamonix before. The scenery is amazing. Just everything about it is just racked up to number 13 on the scale, isn't it? It's just incredible.
We are on the running track not in Courtney.
Come on, Stephen, get your lines right.
We're on the running track here in Chamonix, and there's a guy running super fast around the outside lanes, and he shouted at us because we're going really slow.
It's always a nice event early in the week to meet a few people and have a jog around the famous 300-metre running track with spectacular views of Mont Blanc. And of course, no shakeout run in Chamonix would be complete without a trip to Moody's Cafe afterwards for coffee and chocolate brownies.
Well, that was a rush. I suddenly realised at 20 to 4 that I needed to collect my race bib by 4 o'clock. So here I raced from a cafe all the way back to the campsite, got my race vest and made it back just in time.
Collecting your race bib used to be the most stressful moment of the entire week because of the strict mandatory kit requirements. Get it wrong and you risk not being able to run a race you may have spent years trying to get into. Thankfully, there's no kit check anymore these days, so it's a much more relaxed affair, unless of course you've had to run 2 kilometres to get there on time.
So in order to collect your bib, passport or photo ID, you need your race vest so that they can put a tracker on it, but you don't need to kit check anymore unless there's a random kit check. Correct.
You?
Okay, that's it done. Lastminute.com. Now I'll go back to the cafe where my children are sitting eating ice cream quite happily on their own with my credit card.
Over the years, I've completed 3 different UTMB events. I started with CCC, the 100-kilometre race, in 2018. I then spent 3 years trying to finish TDS with a DNF, a COVID cancellation and an abandoned race before eventually completing in 2022. I ran the Big Dance in 2023, and so this year I opted for OCC. Shorter than my usual preferred distances, but that wouldn't make it any easier, as I was about to find out over the next 12 hours. This would be my first time beginning a race in Switzerland because OCC starts in the small town of Argentiere. The buses had dropped us off quite early, so there was plenty of time to prepare, eat, drink and relax in the square. I was also in wave 2 of the race, so I could enjoy watching the build-up as more and more runners filled the square and the faster runners made their way to the timing mat. There were more than a few nerves jangling as wave 2 was called forward. But I heard my friend Owen on the mic and spotted Catherine Poletti waiting under the arch, so I knew everything was in order.
For some reason I managed to get at the front of wave 2. I don't really want to be at the front of wave 2. But we'll have to go with the flow
now that we're here.
Stephen, how are you feeling? Ready to rock and roll?
I feel more nervous than I should be, I think.
Well, listen, Stephen, we look forward to seeing you at the finish line in Chamonix. What do you think? Maybe, are we talking 7, 8, 9 hours? What do you think?
Last year, my wife did this in 11 hours 25. Beating that is all I care about.
Best of luck. We'll see you later on in Chamonix, Stephen.
Do you know what? I had a feeling he was looking at me. He was looking at me. Right, welcome to OCC. So OCC stands for Argentiere, Champagne, Chamonix. So we start here in this beautiful Swiss town of Argentiere, and we make our way up to Champex Lac, another absolutely gorgeous town, and then up and over down to Argentiere, and then over La Flegere, down to Chamonix. It's 3,500 metres of elevation gain. It's 55 or so kilometres, probably going to be more than that. We're going to see how we go. Who knows, because it's going to be very, very warm today. Nice party atmosphere at the beginning. 1 minute to go. And away we go. OCC 2024 is off and running. Away we go through Argentiere.
As well as running OCC, my big plan this year was to follow Tom Evans and Jim Walmsley round the main event. Having won the race the year before, I knew Jim would be out to retain his title, and Tom would be gunning to be champion, having won CCC in 2018 and come third in UTMB in 2022. I joined the crowds at the Arch at 6 PM on Friday evening to watch what is almost without question the most thrilling start to a race you are ever likely to see. For me though, it was all about the battle between Jim and Tom, and I was really excited to see how it would turn out. I would love you to hear the iconic UTMB music, but copyright restrictions make that impossible, unfortunately. Suffice to say, the atmosphere was electric as 2,500 runners set off on their journey. For some, it would take less than 20 hours. For many, it would be double that and more. Back at the start of OCC, we were weaving our way through the streets of Argentiere and already climbing when we came upon the school children. This is something Victoria had told me about from last year. The children of the local schools line the streets and cheer you out of town, and you high-five them on the way. And then we were well on our way to Champex Lac. It didn't take long for the sun to start doing its thing, and because a lot of the first few kilometres were on tarmac, it was mostly runnable, so I got very warm from quite early on. We continued to climb, mostly on tarmac, and I imagined the elite runners up ahead were absolutely caning this section. I loved these early miles. The beauty of Switzerland is remarkable. It's so green and lush, and the support passing through the various small villages was amazing. I loved the oversized cowbells some of the locals were ringing.
Mini aid station then.
Eventually we made it into the forest, and from there it's not too far to climb to reach Champex Lac. Even at this early stage I was glad of the shade, and with such a mix of easy tarmac running and climbing, it was important not to get carried away.
Seven kilometres, 1 hour, 5 minutes. We are just approaching Champex Lac. Okay, we're in Champex Lac aid station, basically just get water and go. That's what we need to do here. Okay, water bottles full, as you can see. I'll push them down in a minute, they're wobbling about a bit, aren't they? Yeah, we're gonna make our way out now beside this gorgeous lake at Champex. And I don't think I've ever done this in the light. Every time I've come past this lake, it's been in the dark, so it'd be nice to see it in the sunshine. So nearly 8 kilometres, 1 hour 13 minutes. And this is Champex Lake, Champex Lac. Merci.
After running past the gorgeous lake at Champex, there was some more very good running downhill on the trails through the sunlit forests to Plan de l'Eau, at which point we started our second climb of the day up to Col du Balme.
Bonjour. Merci.
Despite the increasing temperature, I was still running and still relatively comfortable. I have to say though, I'm starting to agree with people who say they don't like the Speed Goat 6s. They are too firm underfoot and not very forgiving, making for a rather hard and uninspiring ride. Whilst I negotiate this climb, I would be most grateful if you'd consider subscribing to the channel. If ultras and stunning trail run destinations is what you like to see, we do that all the time on the Film My Run channel, and we have plenty of films coming up showcasing stunning and challenging routes. So click that notifications bell as well, and make sure to watch to the end of the video to see how this one turns out.
This is spectacular. So this is the climb out of Champex Lac that I have never seen in the light. The only other time I've done this climb is on CCC and UTMB, and both of those times in the dark, so it's nice to be able to see the view for once. We are nearly 17 kilometres in, 2 hours 50 minutes. Quite a tough climb that actually in the hot weather, and I think it's only going to get harder.
We're in Gervais for the first checkpoint on the UTMB race.
Gervais is incredible on UTMB night. Even when I've run through here as darkness is falling, it's still crowded and a cacophony of noise. I managed to run alongside both Tom Evans and Jim Walmsley for a few metres, and I'll let you take in the atmosphere as they run through the town. At this point, runners are 20 kilometres into the race, and both Tom here and Jim looked comfortable. Tom is very focused. Jim is particularly relaxed as they head into the night.
Come on, Jim, you got this!
Merci. So this is the top of the second climb. So the first climb was up to Champex Lac. Second climb up to here and then down to Trient now.
Good luck.
Merci, thank you. 17.7 kilometers, 3 hours and 4 minutes.
We got nothing else to do. The sun is peeking through the cotton white blinds. Your hands still tangled up in mine. Feet on the wall, your head on me.
Water usually. So 19 kilometers. Just leaving La Gitaz. So down the hill to Trient. And it's getting hot now. It's getting really hot.
I can't tell you how exciting it was to be running these trails during daylight hours. Despite the intense heat, I was loving the experience, knowing I wasn't going to be running through the night, and dropping down into the Trient Valley, I could finally see the views I'd been missing all these years.
Let the morning slip. Oh, it feels like that, like summer air through window cracks. Oh, it feels like that, like summer sun on quiet tracks. Oh, it feels like that, like the summer rain that falls so slowly on the naked skin upon your back. Oh, it feels like that, like a love song on a worn out track. Yeah, it feels like that.
That's the famous Pink Church in Trient. 23.5 kilometers. We're just coming up to 4 hours.
The small hamlet of Trient is a major waypoint on the Tour de Mont Blanc, still in Switzerland, about 4 kilometres from the French border as the crow flies. For runners and hikers, the border is at Col du Balme, a high mountain pass, another couple of hours climb from Trient.
I've just dunked my face and head and hat in some water, and I am going to have a lot of Coca-Cola now and give it 5 minutes, I think. We don't want to rush into this because I am really going to struggle in this heat. Okay, we're going to leave Trient. So I've filled my water bottles up. I've had 2 glasses of Coke. I've had 2 lots of watermelon, and I've got some chocolate, which I'm going to eat on the stroll out of the aid station. Now we have a big climb up to Balme, which is the highest point of the race, I think.
It's quite common for aid stations to be in valleys at the foot of the next big climb, but in this case there is a good bit of flat running before you start going up again.
It's a long, exposed walk to the next climb. So this is Notre de la Gorge. It's a tunnel set up by Hoka. It's absolutely fantastic to run through, and hopefully we'll catch Tom and Jim as they come through this tunnel any minute now. Hey Courtney.
Hi.
Hiya. Very well, thank you. You?
Good. Oh, it doesn't look as cold. Yeah. Isn't it crazy?
Are you feeling bad you're not running, or are you glad you're not running?
Oh, it's so fun to be cheering. Super fun.
By now, Jim and Tom were in a pack running together at the front of the race. Having just left Les Contamines, they come through the Hoka tunnel, and then it's a right turn and up a really long climb to one of the highest points of the race at Col de la Croix de Bonhomme. This is one of the most iconic points on the course, with crowds reaching fever pitch. It's reminiscent of scenes at the Tour de France.
go, Courtney. No FOMO.
This is the best. I love it.
Leaving Trient, we began what would be a make or break climb for many in this year's OCC. It's an absolutely beautiful but punishing ascent to Col du Balme. This climb coincided with the hottest part of the day, and many people began to run out of water. There was an extra water station about halfway up, but there were huge queues, and I didn't want to waste 20 minutes standing in a queue for water, so I carried on with the minimal supplies I had. Initially, the route follows the river, which flows from the 4.5 kilometre long Trient glacier, which you can just see in the distance here behind me. The route then turns away from the river and becomes much steeper.
We are still on this grueling climb. Got about 150 metres to go to the top, so not too far. But because of the heat, it's so draining, it's just energy sapping.
Last year, for some reason, the OCC route was diverted and Victoria didn't have to do this section of the course. Great for her in one sense, because I think this section is the most difficult, but it did mean she missed out on arguably the most spectacular part. This fantastic ledge with a sheer drop on one side and chains embedded into the cliff face to hold onto is very exciting. Thankfully, once we tapped out on the top of the climb, a few clouds began rolling in, and because we were so high, it did feel a little cooler. But many people dropped out of the race around this point. In the race against Victoria, I had been ahead of her time from last year, but now I was behind and needed to catch up.
You can see Trient down there. You spot the pink church. That's where we came from about 4 hours ago, it seems. A long time ago.
Skirting the side of the mountain, it seemed to take an absolute age to reach the aid station at Col du Balme, where we finally crossed the border from Switzerland into France.
So, top of the climb, Col du Balme. We're not quite at the aid station yet, but we've reached the top of the climb there. Now we just have a couple of 100 metres to get to the aid station. I am really screwed. We've just hit 34 kilometres in 7 hours and 16 minutes. Thank you. That was motivational. Good. Tell the camera how you're feeling.
I'm feeling happy that I saw Stephen Cousins.
He's lying. Herbert Crabell's going to finish this. Good job, Herbert. Thank you.
Whilst most UTMB runners were just starting their journey, many CCC 100km runners were just finishing theirs. Late on Friday and into Saturday, I spent some time watching a few cross the line, including British ultra runner Holly Page, whose career we've followed with admiration. She'd had a pretty rough time in the mountains, but finished in a credible 14 hours 50 minutes, placing her 24th female in the race. Holly runs for Adidas and her teammates were there to welcome her home. We thought she might need medical attention, but Holly wasn't keen on that idea at all.
Guys, I'll be fine. No, because they'll keep me forever. No. That's my plan. No, they love having a look. No, thanks.
Can you tell me how it went quickly?
Oh, very badly.
Well, you've not done too bad.
I was fine for 70k.
Yeah.
The winner of CCC this year was Hayden Hawkes, who I managed to catch up with afterwards.
So Hayden, listen, tell me, after an incredible year of injury last year where you were really low, talk to me about what this year has meant to you now.
Yeah, it's meant a lot to me and my family. You know, having the hard year I had last year, probably one of the hardest years of my career, hardest years of my life. Like, to be able to come back and have such an incredible year this year, it just proves to me that, like, yeah, you kind of have to go through hard things sometimes to come out stronger and better on the other end. And yeah, that's what I've been able to do this year. It's been an incredible journey. I wouldn't have had it any other way. I'm really grateful I went through all that, and I'm a better person, stronger person because of it.
Where does this lead you now? Because, you know, there's two big races out there that I know, you know, you would love to get to grips with. Where's your priority lie? Western States or UTMB?
I'm still very much on the Western States train right now. Western States is my goal. I've been second and third there. I definitely want to get that first place there at Western States. That race I feel like suits me. It suits my strengths better. I love the race, the community, the area. So I'm definitely going to go back to Western States next year and focus on that. That will be my goal for next year again. And then, yeah, we'll see what happens. Like, everybody keeps asking me when I'm going to do UTMB, and I said, I got to do Western States first, you know, after that, yeah, I'll probably be keen on doing UTMB after that.
Hayden Hawkes, winner of CCC. Absolutely fantastic. Well done, mate.
Yeah, thank you.
Good job. Thank you so much.
Overnight, there'd been carnage in the main race, and both Tom Evans and Jim Walmsley had unfortunately dropped, leaving a new face at the front of the men's race.
Right, we're at the bottom of the climb at Valocine. The leader and the winner of UTMB, new guy, Vincent Bouillard, is coming down the hill. He's got one more climb to do.
Talking to Hayden Hawkes, he was saying that Vincent is well known amongst other runners, and actually that he works in engineering for Hoka themselves. But he was certainly a new name to me, and I'm sure to many others following the event. I ran with Vincent for a few hundred metres as he made his way into Valocine. From here, it's less than 20 kilometres and around 800 metres of climbing and descent to the finish line.
Vincent Bouillard going to win UTMB! He's just got one climb left to do up to La Flegere and then down into Chamonix, and he's going to win UTMB unless something disastrous happens. Amazing. Right, no point messing around. Let's just get down this hill. 12 kilometres to Argentiere. Herbert has just told me he thinks it's a smooth descent, but I don't know. We'll see. It'd be nice if it is a smooth descent, because there's been quite a lot of horrible, gnarly rocks on that section over there. Didn't really enjoy it very much. But hopefully, if this is a bit smoother, we can get a little bit of running in those 12 kilometres.
The cloud cover and the wind had significantly cooled things down. The terrain was mostly smooth and runnable, and I started to enjoy myself more and more as we descended into Argentiere. It wasn't all downhill and the sun hadn't completely disappeared, but I was feeling a whole lot better than I had been an hour or two earlier. I was blown away when I passed some Film My Run fans from Mexico whilst running through Notre on my way down the hill.
Cheers, guys. How nice is that? How nice is that? Okay, just coming into Argentiere now, so one more climb to do. Up to La Flegere and down into Chamonix. 44.8 kilometres, 9 hours and 1 minute. So if I'm going to beat Victoria, I've got to get up and over the climb and down into Chamonix in 2 hours 24 minutes. Thank you, thanks. Can I do that? Can I beat Victoria's time from last year? We'll see.
I was in the crowd at the finish line of UTMB and managed to grab a quick word with my friend Owen.
Owen, how long have you been commentating on UTMB races here?
Stephen, I think it was 2018 was my first year here after Catherine Poletti saw me working in the World Championships where was it, in Spain, in Peñagolosa. And Spain had a great day that day. They were world champions, so everybody was in great form. I had a great time, smiling all day long. And Catherine said to me, Owen, we want your smile in Chamonix. Come. So I said, yeah, sure, absolutely. And to be honest, I'm from a cross-country track background. Sure, I ran for Ireland on the mountains in the World and European Championships, but on the shorter courses, 10k, 11k.
Don't be modest, you're quick.
No, so it's better like UTMB, it was never really on my radar. So when I came over here in those early years, it was just, wow. What a place.
Thing is, to me, you are the iconic voice of UTMB. What does it mean to you to see these runners across the finish line, especially in a moment like this?
Stephen, to be honest, I hold back the tears sometimes. And not even for the winners, it's for the guys that are coming home, you know, at the back end of the field when you see maybe their husband or their wives or their kids, you know, who have travelled from Hong Kong or from the United States, from South Africa, and people are crying, and you end up, you know, getting involved in that emotion as well. Obviously, when you see the winners come across and Chamonix, the whole town is rocking, and, you know, the eyes of the world's trail running media are all here, it's very special. But it's right true from the start to the end. I know that sounds corny.
No, you're right.
But it's true, mate, it really is, it really is.
What's happened in this race? Weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
Everyone's gone, haven't they? And he's taken his chance.
Well, I think it kind of happens the same every year, doesn't it? Like, we might say go to bed around 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
Unless you're out on the course, which many people do. And then you wake up around 7
o'clock. And it's all changed.
And it's all different. You know, and I was a little bit surprised when I saw Jim go out so fast, because from what I had heard and read, he wasn't 100% this summer. I wasn't surprised Tom went with him. You know, Tom is always a great fighter. But I must admit, yeah, when I woke up and nobody was left. No, and I had to look up the guy's name, the French guy who was winning. I hadn't heard of him really before. He's kind of new on the scene in the last year or two.
I've just spoken to Hayden Hawks and he said he knows him very well, so he's obviously around.
For about 2 years, and he works for Hoka. I think he's an engineer, and he's part of the Hoka team for the last 4 years. But without a doubt, this will be the biggest moment of his sporting life today.
You better get back to work, mate.
I will. We've got, 4 French winners so far over the last 21 years.
Yeah.
We're about to have one more.
Cheers, Owen.
The finish line of UTMB is a special place for any runner. But if you're about to be the winner of UTMB and it's the first major win of your career and you're in front of a home crowd, that must be incredible.
These are the moments you have to treasure. Look, with his family, with his friends, he's just run 100 miles in 20 hours, less than 20 hours. The emotion is flowing.
You know, even I've got a tear in my eye. And I'd never heard of this guy before today. He's a local guy from Annecy, not far down the road. And he's just won the biggest race in ultra running history. Amazing.
The moment of a lifetime.
Then, only a short time later, American runner Katie Scheid crossed the line as first female for her second UTMB crown, having won back in 2022. I think what everyone wants to see, as well as another Tom versus Jim race, is a Katie Scheid Courtney Dauwalter showdown.
Merci. Merci. Cheers, guys. So 5 kilometres up to La Flegere, 670 metre climb. We can do that, can't we?
Bravo, Stephen.
Cheers, man. You okay?
How is it going today?
It's been very hot.
Very hot.
Yeah, but I'm okay now. Just get this climb done and it's fine.
Yeah.
Leaving Argentiere, I had just one climb left to do. The climb up to La Flegere is quite technical, and although I was feeling relaxed and confident, I was moving very slowly by now.
All dead men walking now, I think. 9 hours, 50 minutes, 47.58 kilometres. We've got about 350 metres left of climbing up here. Hi there.
Is that Film My Run Man?
Yeah.
Fuck me, of all the places to find you, so I shouldn't swear.
Screwed now.
It's hard today, huh? So hot.
In the heat?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just hot. Just
super hard.
Just hot.
Yeah.
But, 350 metres to the top. Thanks a lot, buddy. What's your name?
Alex.
Thanks, Alex.
Nice to see you. Nice to meet you.
Cheers.
Again.
We are so close to La Flegere, but it's just these last few metres of climb up. So the time is 10 hours 27 minutes. Basically, I've got an hour to beat Victoria.
By the time I reached the ski lifts, my legs were shot. The heat wasn't too much of an issue, but I'd put in a big effort to get up that last climb and I was spent. Still, I was determined to get down that hill and into Chamonix as close to Victoria's time from last year as I possibly could.
Right, we're not stopping at the aid station. No point. It's just straight down the hill home.
I remembered my CCC race from 2018 and how after 100 kilometres I was still able to bomb down this very hill past over 100 runners in 38 minutes. It remains my fastest time on this descent. This year I was able to run, but just not quite as fast as in 2018. It took me 49 minutes.
About 3k to go, I think. 2k to the bottom of the hill, 1k through the town. Going past a beautiful Floria cafe.
Well done, Stephen.
Well done, lads.
Well done.
So that's almost it now. We've just dropped down into town. 56 kilometers on the watch. 11 hours, 32 minutes. Don't tell Victoria. It's been hard work, but we are home.
As always, it was lovely to run through Chamonix with onlookers cheering and clapping and friends shouting my name and high-fiving as I ran past. It's amazing how many hours of pain you can put up with just for these few minutes of euphoria at the end. I've loved this feeling since my first time 7 years ago, and I'm not going to be sick of it anytime soon.
What a great finish line this always is. Do you want to know my time?
I'd like to know your time.
1 hour, 39 minutes. Oh, did I say 1 hour?
Yeah.
11 hours, 39 minutes, 17 seconds. I didn't beat Victoria. Right, this is Kristen, who I yo-yoed the second half of the race with. She was really strong on the uphills and I was a little bit stronger on the downhills. Was that your first time in Chamonix?
It was my first time in Chamonix, and I mostly loved it.
and you say that 2 minutes after crossing the line, so
that's pretty good.
In a few days you'll be booking UTMB.
Yeah.
What's your plan for the next few years then? Are you coming back?
I'm gonna try road racing next year and try to qualify for Boston.
Okay.
And then I'll probably yo-yo back to trail.
Hey.
Why not try it all?
Kristen, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it. I'm just filming you saying that you let me down by not coming to the finish line.
I let you down, man. Sorry. I was there ahead of you every day on Cape Wrath, and here I am. Did we tell you that we've done Cape Wrath?
Did Jay tell you that he's done Cape Wrath?
We've done Cape Wrath.
The final act of this year's race was to pick up my gilet, which is what you get at the end of UTMB instead of a medal, and wallow in that sense of satisfaction that comes with a job well done, even if I didn't beat my wife. If you've been inspired watching this video, I really hope to see you out in Chamonix one day, and maybe, you never know, I may see you on the start line next time.